Girl stuff is how we like to communicate our thoughts and feeling, stories that can make you relate. And we talk to some cool people we met on the way. So thanks for tuning in. We hope that you like your stay.
Hi, my name is Ella.
Hi, I'm Mel.
And hi, I'm
Just
Becky.
and welcome to another episode of Girl Stuff Podcast. Today we have the wonderful Becky Ablack joining us. If you don't know, she is an actress from shows like you probably have seen her in Ginny and Georgia and other Netflix projects. Why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself actually and let our audience know who you are, what you do, and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. I'm Rebecca Ablack, but I go by Becky. I am from Toronto, Canada. I am in a show called Ginny and Georgia, and I play Padma.
Incredible. I think like I want to start off with just congratulating you on Ginny and Georgia and just the incredible reception that the show has got. And I mean, it's like broken records in terms of like, I think it's like one of the biggest shows of the year so far. Like it's like what like longest like number one show on Netflix or something like that. So congratulations. I know that Mel is like literally probably the biggest fan of the show ever. So if you can't tell from the Wednesday shirt. So I just want to start off with just diving into what your life has been at like as of late. I mean, we've all been in quarantine for over a year now, but I know that you yourself are a student right now. You study theater and writing, I believe, right? Yeah. And so
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
perfect.
it's also like it's also, I feel like it's rare to see people who are like actively working in the industry, but also full time, like pursuing a degree. And so, what has that been like for you, like juggling those things, especially during quarantine?
Yeah, it's been really crazy. Juggling. So when we filmed Ginny and Georgia, I was in school. Obviously, I was in my second year of university, and we were going to school. Like it wasn't quarantine; it was 2019. Um, so that was obviously a little bit scary because you get your call time, and it's not negotiable. It's like they're telling you come in this day, this time, you have to be there, right? Um, but luckily, once I was in second year, I actually didn't really miss much of class or anything for Ginny and Georgia. It would be kind of crazy because I would be in class and then I would like maybe leave like 10 minutes early just to catch the subway and go down to the office for a table read. And then any days that we were shooting, I would kind of just like take off of school that day. And when I got back, I have wonderful friends who would give me the notes from the lectures and catch me up on all things school. So it wasn't really an issue then. I have had problems in the past where I've missed some classes for filming or for whatever it is. And um, I kind of I have to deal with the consequences of that, where they're like, well, if you miss this assignment, then you fail it. So I kind of have to bite the bullet on that one. But I've been able to do it, and I feel really lucky and really grateful that
Mhm.
I've been able to do both, because a lot of people will say that that's not really possible, but it is possible. It may mean that you
Mhm.
don't do the best in school. I'm kidding. I'm doing really well. I feel like I'm scaring people. I'm doing in school. Um, but but yeah, sometimes you do have to bite the bullet and suffer the consequences of it a bit. But overall, it's possible. It's doable.
Can you talk a little bit more about like your decision to like study at the same time as you are acting? Because I mean, like I said, like a lot of people think it's one or the other, but it doesn't have to be. But what was your reasoning in terms of why you wanted to make sure that you did pursue your degree?
Yeah. Well, I have been acting since I was like 15, 16, or 16,
Mhm.
17 more is when I actually started like getting jobs. Um, and it never really interfered with my school until um, first year of university. Um, and it was definitely a difficult decision because there were certain things at school that I couldn't do because I was acting. Um, but at the end of the day, for me, it's like this is the dream. Um, and if I get something, I'm not turning it down, obviously. But my education is also really, really important to me. And I love school. I'm like the kind of person that like really, really enjoys school. I don't know what I'm going to do when I graduate. Like I love going to school. Um,
Mhm.
but you know, it comes up, there comes a point when people will say like, oh, you actually can't do both. And it's impossible to do one and still do the other. It's impossible to work while you're also in school, but it really isn't impossible. I think if you want something bad enough, you're going to figure out how to do it. Um, and it does make it, I'm not saying it's easy. It's actually very hard to balance all of those things at once. Um, and it does definitely require you to manage your time in a really effective way, which I'm sometimes not the best at, but but you know, keeping yourself organized and keeping yourself on top of your priorities is definitely the key to, I think, doing that. And I think my decision of it was just like, I want to do both, and I really want both really badly, and I'm gonna get it. Like I'm gonna do what it takes to have both
Yeah.
of those things. You know what I
That's
mean?
amazing. I really admire that. In terms of your life right now and like what it's been like during quarantine, I mean, I know that in Canada things are kind of crazy right now. Things are pretty tough. And like how has quarantine sort of affected your life, and like what have you like been doing to like occupy your time? Anything that you were able to do during quarantine that you don't think you would have been able to do otherwise, or maybe the other way around or something like that?
Yeah, I think there's, you know, it's a really difficult time for a lot of people, and you know, both of my parents are working, and so is my sister and everything. So, you know, it's definitely scary because you know we're all just trying to keep each other safe and everything, as well as like keeping other people safe. Um, You know, for most of quarantine, I've been in school because last year when everything shut down, I was still in school, and then I did summer school, and then I just finished my third year, and the next month, sorry, I'm going back into summer school. Um, so for the most part, it's just been school, just online school, which is, you know, can be torturous, but can also be very very comfortable because you're doing all classes from your bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, you know, something I wouldn't get to say that I could have ever done. Um, but yeah, I have been able to work a little bit, and it definitely would not have been possible to work the jobs that I've worked um, in this past year if not for quarantine, because it just
Mhm.
wouldn't be possible with school
Mhm.
to keep up with school. Uh, but because everything is online, I can bring my laptop with me anywhere I go.
Mhm.
So I can be in class while I'm also like in my trailer having lunch. Like, you know, it comes with its upsides for sure. But then it comes with way, way, way more downsides.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
we
I
make
feel
do.
like it definitely requires a lot. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said, we make do.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And we do what we can to keep other people safe and keep ourselves safe. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, going a little bit more into your life, I think Mel mentioned that a while ago. Like she had asked like on Instagram, like, what do people associate with you and your life? And someone had answered that you are a very big mental health advocate. And so I wanted to ask if you could speak on that for a little bit. I mean, I know that that's obviously a very like relevant and like resonant topic for us, especially during quarantine. Like taking care of ourselves and our mental health is so important but so difficult. Like, why are you yourself like very like vocal and such a big advocate about for it? And like maybe like do you have like personal experiences that influence that or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. I think I mean mental health is a very individual kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
You know, everybody, you know, even whether or not you have had dramatic experiences with your mental health or not, you have experienced issues with your mental health. Everybody goes through anxiety or different times of um, depression or anything like that. So to whatever degree that it is for you. Um, and I think that being able to talk about it is something that has been, there's a big stigma around talking about mental health. I mean, obviously, it's a really hard thing for a lot of people to talk about, especially because it's kind of an invisible thing, right? It's not like a physical trauma where you can see somebody with a broken knee. It's much harder to see somebody with a mental illness or who's struggling with their mental health. Um, and I think that people our age, especially, are much better at expressing and talking about mental health than other generations. And I think that's such a good thing. And if I can be any part in encouraging more young people to do that, then we're kind of building a generation of people that aren't really afraid to talk about mental health, which is an amazing thing, because the more we talk about it, the less fear there is around it. And the less like isolation there is around it. If we're all like, oh, I'm not different than anybody else just because I'm experiencing this right now. And I've seen other people and people I look up to and people who are just like me, people who are older and younger than me experiencing the same kind of thing, that eliminates fear, because we're like, well, if everybody's going through it, then it's normal. Um, and I think that being able to talk about that and not feeling any shame around talking about that, just talking about it and being unapologetic, being like, I'm going through this right now and I'm going to get through it, but I could use some help, or I could use some guidance or some advice. And that's the best way to go about it. And I guess that's why I talk about it the most, because I don't want people feeling any kind of shame. I think when you're isolated from it, it does seem more scary to you, and you feel as though you're alone in something. But if other people are talking about it, and specifically people that you can learn from, or people that you look up to, then that makes the world difference.
That's really amazing to hear. I mean, I know that certainly like the we at Girl Stuff podcast like always talk a lot about mental health and just how important it is to just have those discussions, to always be open-minded to having and talking about those things. And so it's really lovely to hear you talk about how much it means to you as well. Um, I think that we're gonna go into a bit about acting now. Like specifically, of course, we want to talk all about Ginny and Georgia, your show that came out this year. We're obviously big fans. So Mel, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, before we like go into Ginny and Georgia and your character on there, what inspired you to begin acting in the first place?
Um, I get this question a lot, and I'm always trying to like pinpoint an experience or a time that really inspired me, but it's so hard for me to do that because I don't remember a time that I wasn't performing, a time that I didn't love performing. Um, Growing up, my parents put us in, me and all my siblings, in a bunch of different activities just to kind of see like what are they good at, what do they like to do, what can they find a passion in, kind of thing. So I grew up doing some dance and some figure skating, um, and I was very bad at both of those things. I'm not a very good figure skater, and I'm not really a great dancer either. But the aspects of those things that I was good at was the performance and the acting and the entertainment, of all of those things. I like to make people smile and laugh, and I just love to perform. And that's kind of what my parents realized I was good at. That's what I realized I was good at. That's what the judges realized I was good at. Um, so from there, my parents put me in acting lessons and singing lessons, and that's where I kind of was like, oh yeah, this is what's for me. And then I went to a performing arts high school where I met like other people who were, also interested in the same things as me, made friends. And then in university, same kind of thing. So I've kind of always been doing it. And as far as a career goes, I was like, well, I'm good at this. I could probably make money off of it. So um, that's kind of what inspired me to start acting.
Yeah, and you mentioned making people smile, but is that your favorite thing about acting, or what would you say is like your favorite thing about acting?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think my favorite thing about acting, I mean, I love comedy, so that definitely is one of my favorite things, is making people smile, and I try to do that. I try to be funny as much as I can, but being funny is hard. Sometimes you think you think you're not funny, and that's what people find the most funny. And then you think you are funny, and people are like, that's not funny. So, that's a fun little world to be in. But I think telling stories is my favorite part of acting. Whether it's my own story that I'm creating, or if it's somebody else's that I'm stepping into, and taking on a role to be able to tell a story that's important to somebody, and that will connect with people. That's my favorite part of acting and performing. Um, being able to tell a story that people resonate with and that people can see themselves in is one of the most heartwarming parts of acting.
Yeah, you played a bunch of roles. Like, we know you from Let It Snow, but more recently from Ginny and Georgia, where you play Padma. And Padma we don't really get to see her backstory. Do you have like any secrets how you got like into your role as the character? Did you like create your own backstory?
I mean, yeah, I do create a backstory, even if it's not written for me. I think Padma is, she's really smart and she's really talented. But she gets treated very poorly, she gets played essentially. And I think the thing about Padma is to me, it's as though she's seeing the best in people, regardless of what they're doing to her. There's I was talking to her friend in the cafe. Yeah, there's a scene where Padma's in the cafe with her friend, and she's obviously very frustrated. Her friend is very frustrated with her, trying to explain to her that like Marcus is not good to you. He's using you. And she's very desperately trying to convince her friend that like she doesn't care. Like she doesn't care that Marcus doesn't want to be her boyfriend. She's very much defensive. And I think that's one because she feels a little embarrassed of what she's kind of put up with. And she feels as though there's a part of him that maybe does care about her and does value her. And she's trying to see the best in him. So I think that, deep down, Padma is even not deep down, it's very much on the surface. She's a good person. Even after she finds out about Marcus and Ginny, she does not get vindictive with Ginny. Instead, she tells her, you know what? He's trash. Like, he's going to treat you horribly.
Period.
He's not good to me, and he's not going to be good to you. And, she's very much like, even though she doesn't know Ginny like that, she's like, girl, I'm looking out for you. Like, you don't want this man. So I think at heart, she's a very just like good person. She knows she's learning along the way, and she feels a little bit embarrassed of her decisions, but she's trying to do the best with what she has. So I look up to her, honestly. I would be pissed. I would be so upset.
Same.
But
Ginny, what is it? Ginny said that like Padma deserved better or whatever. I was like, yes, truth. And
yeah,
I love
and I love that a lot of people have resonated with that and been like, look at how he treated Padma, because I feel like Marcus is a flawed person, right? He's learning as well, and he's not a horrible person. I think that's the whole point, is that he's a regular person with flaws. And even though she's upset at him, she still, understands that he's still a person. She brings his books for him. She does what she has to do for him. She's still recognizing that he's not evil. He's just human, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the case with every single one of these characters in this show. So yeah, she's really a good person.
Yeah, now that you said a little bit about Padma, let's go back to like the beginning. How did you like hear about the role? How was the audition process like?
Yeah, it was a very actually normal audition. It just like any other. I got an email from my agent saying, here's this role, auditions at this time, at this place. And it was really exciting. I always get really excited to see a role for a South Asian person, because you go into the audition room and there's just a bunch of other South Asian women there. And so it's like, if I don't get this, one of these women are going to get it. and then we win anyways. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna be on the show. So that was one thing, definitely going into the audition room. I love seeing just like other South Asian actors in the room. And then the audition itself, I was nervous, and Padma originally, her original thing was she was more of like a hippie kind of musician, like very bell-bottom pants, very like loosey-goosey kind of thing. So I remember my outfit. I was wearing like these really baggy, not baggy, like really flowy pants and like a crop top. And I sang Stay by Rihanna for my first audition. And I read the scenes. And yeah, it felt very normal. Obviously, I was nervous because I'm nervous for every audition. That never goes away. But yeah, it was really cool. And then the callbacks were not too long after. I was in the same time slot, or around the same time slot as my brother. So we were in the waiting room together. And then, yeah, not even a week later, I got the phone call, and that's all she wrote.
And we love you as Padma. You mentioned your brother. One of the questions, I'm just gonna go ahead and ask this because it fits. So many people ask us, how was it working with your brother?
Oh my God, it's a dream come true for both of us. I've been watching my brother act and sing and perform since the day I was born, literally. And it has always been my dream to work on something with him, and same with him for me. And we Padma and Joe don't know each other, right? So they never interact. But there is that one scene where Padma is in the Blue Farm Cafe, and that was the one day that my brother and I were on set together, and we made the most of that day. We just were hanging out the whole time. We were just so psyched to see each other, and like he was watching the monitor, and he would ask me like, are you okay if I watch? I'm like, yeah, I don't care if you watch. Meanwhile, I was like, I hope he thinks I'm doing good. Like, but yeah, we made the most of that day, and hopefully we'll be like on set together again, if any other show or in this show, hopefully, who knows. But yeah, it was really surreal for us and for our whole family, right? Because they get to see both of us in one show. So, it's like a package deal. It's perfect.
Going off of enjoying that day with your brother, what is like your favorite memory from filming Ginny and Georgia?
Ooh. I would say one of my favorite days on set was when we were filming the Battle of the Bands. That was so much fun. First of all, I really wanted to wear that outfit, that dress with the white tee under. That was like, I was crossing my fingers hoping they would choose that outfit, and they did. And so I loved that dress, and I just loved hanging out with Mason and Tyson, just like on stage that whole day. Those lights were boiling hot. It was so hot on the stage. Plus there was all these, cast, crew, background actors, everything. So it was definitely like a really hot and kind of like stressful day, but it was so fun because we were up there and we were just like having the music play and just performing with each other. And I felt like I was I felt like I was performing in a concert, and I was like, I'm not pressing these keys and pretending right now, but it's still fun. That was a really, really fun day. And it was also so enjoyable for everybody. It's always a really good environment on set. So that was my favorite day.
I love that. And we especially love that scene and the song.
Iconic. It's so iconic.
So iconic. And you sounded amazing singing it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
We already mentioned like what a hype was around the show releasing. Did you ever expect to get this type of reception from the audience?
I have to say, I did not expect any of this any of the appreciation for Padma. Um, I really did. I expected the support for the show because I think it's an amazing show. And I love the stories. I think Sarah is a like she created something so beautiful. And all of these actors are fantastic. But I didn't expect the individual support for Padma specifically. And for me specifically, it felt really surreal. Like, I think one of the most surreal moments was when you sang that song, actually. I was like, wow, the fact that somebody has made this cover, they want to sing our song and they've like tagged me in it. I felt like, oh my gosh, wow, like other talented people are, supportive of the show, supportive of the song. And then anytime that you made a drawing of me specifically, I was like, I can't tell you both how appreciative I was of that. I felt like, what? Somebody wants to draw my face? That's insane. That's like crazy to me. Um, yeah, I really did not expect any of this. Um, I just feel so grateful for the support of the show and for the support of my brother and I specifically. And I'm just so glad that people like the show and like our characters and enjoy the work of like these really, really talented people that I look up to so much.
Yeah, I mean, Mel and I, we watched the show together, like on like Netflix party scener thing, and like as soon as we saw that scene, she was like, Ella, you have to cover this song. And like Mel is the type of person who whenever she watches a show that she really enjoys, she's always inspired to, make drawings for it and just like express her like love and appreciation for the show. And so I mean, thank you. Enjoyed the show so much. We
Oh.
freaking love your character. I think that your character reminds me of like all the upperclassmen that I knew in like high school and stuff that I was like, they're so cool. They're too cool for me. I can't breathe the same air as them. They're so cool. So, like, uh, I hope we get to see so much more of your character, your brother's character, of the whole show in general.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Um, Speaking more about the your experience just in the entertainment industry as a whole, like incredibly competitive as we all know. Like, do you ever does that ever get to you in any sort of way, like in terms of like comparing yourself to others or like having the difficulty of like trying to navigate like a very competitive landscape?
Yeah, for sure. I think, like you said, that is the industry. It's competing for roles, competing for attention essentially. Um, and that is not great for anyone's mental health or for anyone's self-esteem, really. Um, and it does definitely require a thick skin, especially when you experience way more rejection than praise and then acceptance, because that's just the way of the world. You're not going to get every audition that you go for, even the ones you really, really want. Like, sometimes there are parts that you think, I'm perfect for this, or you read the description and you're like, I have this life experience, like this is my story. It's so funny that somebody's telling it, and that might not even be the role for you. So uh it's definitely hard um to see all of that rejection kind of at once. um but at the end of the day, I don't think it has to do with any of the other actors, right? um Especially for me, when I see any like woman of color getting a role that maybe I went out for as well, it kind of is a win either way, because if the role calls for a woman of color, then a woman of color is going to get it, and then it's kind of a win in all of our directions. Um, so it really doesn't have to do with the other actors or actresses. It has to do with, is this the role for you? And if it's not, yes, you can sit in that place of like, dang, this still isn't the role for me. When is there going to be a role for me? And it takes a while, and sometimes it's painful. But if you're continuing to go out there and audition and do it and better yourself in the craft and all of those things, then eventually it's going to happen. Um, and yeah, I think it's really important to not hold any resentment for other actors, especially because they're thinking the exact same thing as you, right? They all want it just as bad as you, and they're all doing their best. And at the end of the day, it's not up to them, right? And it's not up to anybody but the casting directors and the directors and producers and all of those things. So it's hard, but it's definitely something that requires a lot of resilience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really admire and love your mentality about how, it's always a win when we see like women of color on screen and getting that representation. And I mean, you talked a fair bit about how you are South Asian and how you really loved that like there was South Asian representation in Ginny and Georgia. Like but in did you have you ever felt any sort of pressure like knowing that, that I know because of the slim amount of like representation that we have had in this industry so far, like did you ever feel that like it like weighed on your shoulders in terms of like like representing like a community of people, or like and like how was it like navigating that?
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of pressure. One, because I didn't notice it um up until Ginny and Georgia came out. But like anytime I would see a woman of color on TV, I get so excited, right? Because it's like, oh my God, somebody that looks like me, or it's like, oh my gosh, look at us, look at us. Um, but and sometimes I would reach out to those actors or actresses and be like, oh my God, like I loved you on the show. I love seeing somebody who looks like me on this show. Um, and it definitely was overwhelming for me at the beginning because there were so many like wonderful, wonderful people reaching out to me just to say that they enjoyed the show or that they saw me and they really connected with me. But it's not possible to respond to everybody. Um, and that pains me because I want to respond to everybody. And I want to let everybody know that like I'm so, so thankful for everybody who said that. And I feel the exact same way, right? Um, so it's definitely overwhelming because you want to let everybody know that you do appreciate them, but it's just not possible when there's so many messages or so many people reaching out. um, and especially within my own community, like my parents are Guyanese, so there are a lot of like young Guyanese women reaching out to me, and I feel for them, especially because we never see ourselves represented. Even if we see like South Asian people on TV, they're not specifically Indo-Caribbean. So, it's tough because I want to get in touch with everybody. Um, and you feel that pressure to like, well, I want to respond to them, but then if I respond to one thing, then I have to respond to everything. And there's just not enough hours in the day. So, it's definitely that pressure, but I think that putting out a message of like overall gratefulness and thanking everybody for the support uh, has shown to be useful, and I feel so thankful for everybody who has confided in me or has said that they resonate with my role on the show, because that's what else are we doing this for? You know what I mean? That's,
For sure.
that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So it definitely feels amazing.
Absolutely. Well, Mel, I think it's time to ask some fun questions that we got from Instagram. We asked like some people like, what do we want to ask Becky?
Very exciting.
Yeah. A person you might know named Colton asked, who is your favorite member of 3SB that isn't Brody or Hunter? And would you let Jordan back in the band?
Okay. Me and Colton have this discussion all the time because obviously his mom kicked him out of the band and Padma had to come in and take over. And I don't think Padma's going to give up that spot without a fight. So listen, I can't say that he's my favorite member of 3SB because he's not a member of 3SB. Yes, Colton, I'm looking at you. You're not a member anymore. But no, I love them all. I love them all. And Colton knows that. But yeah, I'm not going down without a fight. So you can come for me if you want.
Okay, the next question is from Sarah, and she asked, how are you so good at Mafia?
Ooh, that is a good question. I actually literally last night we were playing Mafia together. She knows the answer to this. Everything is a tell. If somebody is doing something that's like a little bit out of place, You can tell. And they know because I'm always quiet the first couple of rounds because I'm kind of like sensing everybody and like see what the vibe is with everybody. And then you can just kind of tell. You're like, you're acting really suspicious right now. Yeah, I love playing Mafia, and we play every single Friday night. If we could play 3 times a night or 3 times a week, I would, but you know, there's other things I have to get done. So
And the last question from Instagram is from Sandy, a friend of ours, and she asked for some underrated spots in Toronto.
ooh, underrated spots in Toronto. Well, my favorite place to eat is it's here in Scarborough where I'm from, and it's called Charlie's, and it's a West Indian restaurant. I'm sure all of my Guyanese people know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's called Charlie's, and they also have like a little grocery store there where we get all of the West Indian foods and desserts and all the different kinds of foods that they have there. I'm fantasizing about it now, so that's definitely one of my favorites. And then I think any place, I don't. For the last little while, I haven't gone anywhere in Toronto, obviously, but anywhere that you are where there's good food and good company is a good place in Toronto.
Okay, now we're gonna go into just some general fun questions to get to know you as a person. The first question is, what is one artist you can listen to on repeat and never get tired of?
Ooh, I have a bunch. I would say most recently, James Blake. Um, James Blake makes some fantastic music, and I have listened to his album on repeat, especially like when I'm doing homework or whatever. It kind of like brings focus, I guess. So I could listen to his music forever.
And what would you say are like your top 2 favorite songs of all time?
That's a good question. Of all time, there's one song, and I literally only know. No, I'm not gonna say that. It's not an all-time favorite. You know what I am gonna say? I'll say "First Day of My Life" by Bright Eyes is one of my all-time favorite songs. I could listen to that whenever, and maybe "Bad Religion" by Frank Ocean.
That's some fun songs. Okay, another song. If you had to pick one song to play every single time you enter a room, which one would it be and why?
Right now, it would be "Leave the Door Open" by Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, because that is such a feel-good song. I feel like you can't play that and people would be frowning. Like it's just everybody loves that song. It has such a good energy to it. So I would want to bring that with me wherever I go.
We love
Okay.
it.
You already mentioned food. What is like the craziest food combination that you ever tried?
Okay. I don't stand by this food combination, but I didn't enjoy it. But I had a pickle with ketchup one time, and it was not I don't recommend it. It was kind
Was
of
it on a dare? Was it?
I don't know what it was. I think I was hanging out with my cousins one day. We were having like a sleepover, and I was like, "Why don't I just dip this?" Because we had like chips, and like our fries, and then we had like pickles. We had a bunch of snacks laid out on the table, and I was like, "Why don't I just dip this in here and see what it tastes like?" And it was not good. I do not recommend it.
Oh, we have some other random assortments of questions that we want to ask. I know obviously right now we haven't really been traveling anywhere ever, but is there any specific place that you have traveled to in the past that you really love, or any places that you'd like to go?
Yeah. When I was in grade 10, um, my mom and I went to Barcelona for my sister was competing in a figure skating competition in Spain, and so my mom and I went, and that was a really fun trip. Uh, very new to me because I hadn't really been outside of the country for that long before. Um, and it was a new space, a new place to explore. So that was really fun. I would probably go back there. And somewhere I want to go, I really, really want to go to South Korea. I want to go to Seoul.
I'm Korean. I was
Oh, are you
born.
Korean? Oh my
Yes.
gosh, that's so crazy.
Highly recommend. I think you'd
Yes,
love it.
I've wanted to go there for years. My friend and I have a friend named David, and we talk about going to Seoul all the time. We're hoping that can be like a grad trip
Oh,
when we graduate, if
so much fun.
COVID allows. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's been a dream forever. We're learning Korean in preparation. Don't ask me anything because I don't know anything.
I'm barely proficient in it myself, so
Okay.
don't worry. I would
Okay,
embarrass
good, 'cause I
myself
was like,
in the
don't put me on the
process.
spot. I can't do this.
Well, I'll send you some recommendations when it comes time for you to
Yes, please
take
do.
a trip. I have a question here that I think I'm gonna switch up a little bit, but if you could switch like lives or bodies with someone for an entire day, who would you switch with? But specifically, who amongst your cast members would from Ginny and Georgia would you want to switch lives with for a day?
Ooh. That's a good question. Maybe Umberly, because Umberly
Great.
is super athletic. And she's always surprising me. I don't know if you both follow her, but she's doing like walking on a balancing beam or whatever it is. She's always doing something crazy. Her stories always look so fun. I feel like she just has an energy of gratefulness and gratefulness, gratitude, and she just always seems very happy to me. And I also would like to know what it's like to be athletic. So I think I would switch bodies with her for a day.
Same.
But I get lazy, so I would like to come back to me afterwards and just
Yeah.
be able to lay down on the couch and watch TV. So
Speaking of your cast members, just once again, I know that like from the behind the scenes that we've seen, because your showrunner Sarah, she loves sharing her behind the scenes footage, and I personally love behind the scenes of a show because for me it just makes me enjoy and like get immersed into a show that much more. And I think anyone who sees those like has seen how close you guys got as a cast and how much you guys enjoyed working with each other. And I know that that's, sometimes that's the case, sometimes it's not. Like, can you talk a little bit about just what the working environment was like what it was like to make those connections while you were on set? Like, were you expecting to like for that kind of vibe to occur? And like, and I mean, I know you said that you guys still play Mafia every week together and stuff like that. So
yeah.
can you talk a little bit more about like what it was like?
Yeah. Like you said, there, sometimes that is the case where you get to be friends with everybody and you make really cool connections, and sometimes it isn't. And sometimes there's not just a reason why, right? And it's just because like maybe you didn't mesh with those people. But I think Sarah and Deb, they are so like, I think you can tell they are so fun and so also driven to like create an environment where everybody's going to be comfortable. And I think that's what sparked all of us being able to talk to each other and hang out and like be comfortable around each other, was because like the environment called for it, right? Like, yeah, we're here to work and everybody was professional, but it's also like I also enjoy these people's company, and they enjoy each other's company. And we're all also having a good time and we're enjoying working. Yeah, I didn't expect to be so close with Sarah and Deb the way I am, because in my head going in, I was 18 when we started. So in my head going in, I'm like, okay, well, this is the creator and the showrunner, so I have to be like very like, I have to impress them. But it all of a sudden it was like, I don't have to impress them. They already like me, and I really like them genuinely as people and not just as a showrunner and a creator. They're the coolest people. I admire them so much, and they're also just so friendly and so fun. Like I've never met people like them. So yeah, now I'm gushing on about them, but they really are just wonderful, and I think everybody can tell how genuine they are as people, and how great they are at their jobs.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I know that we're all still waiting to hear about season two. We're all like crossing our fingers. In the potential of a season two, is there anything in particular that you are like looking forward to in regards to it?
I am looking forward to Joja, Joe and Georgia.
Yes,
I,
me too.
I think, you know, I love the show. I'm a fan of the show, right? And watching it, like every moment, I was just like, oh my God, this is so cute. Or like, I love Zion and Georgia as well, but nothing quite hits like Joe and Georgia.
I agree.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing like character developments and seeing what happens with Ginny and what happens with Marcus and Max, and if all of those people get what they deserve. Like, oh, that sounds kind of scary. I mean, like, they deserve such great things, right? Those characters, they have such a place in my heart. So I'm hoping the best for all of the characters. And kind of just looking forward to seeing like what's gonna happen. With Georgia, there's always some mystery. She's always up to something. So I think she's definitely got like some tricks up her sleeve, and hopefully we get to see that if we get a season 2.
For sure.
I'm also just looking forward to seeing everybody again in person. If we get a season 2.
Yeah.
Even if we don't, like even if COVID lets up, hopefully I just get to see some people that I love. So that's definitely what I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely. I mean, the show, like the season finale really left us up on a cliffhanger there. Just so much potential in terms of where the story could go. And so, yeah, I mean, we're all crossing our fingers. We definitely hope to see much more of the show and the characters and all that. Just a few more fun random questions to wrap us up. Which fictional character do you think would be most exciting to meet in real life? Like whether it's from a show or a movie that you like, books, anything.
I was just like a little bit before this, I was watching The Hunger Games with my brother. I think maybe somebody like Effie Trinket or somebody with a really big personality like that, or like Finnick from Hunger Games. I'm just talking about the Hunger Games, but yeah, I would love to be somebody like that. Somebody with a big personality, I love all these other characters, but somebody that would say something that would shock me, or be wearing something. Like Effie would be wearing something very cool that would shock me, and I think that would be fun.
Very like larger than life.
Yeah.
I love that. Mel, do you want to finish off with our last question?
Yeah. The last question we have, which I love to ask people because it tells a lot about a person, is what's the most useless talent that you have?
Do you want to know what it is? It's whistling. I'm really good at whistling.
What? Can you demonstrate?
Sure. I think. I need something to whistle. What's that tune from Kill Bill that she whistles? Okay, I'll just do the Hunger Games thing because it's in my head now. Oh, now I'm scared. What if I mess up? Okay. I promise I'm good. Okay.
Wait, that's so impressive. Wait, Mel, do you know how to whistle? I feel like one of us were like talking about how we don't know how to whistle. Who was it? Was it?
I'm not that good, but I just don't. I choose not to.
Yeah, it's not a talent you would ever need. Honestly, when am I going to use my whistling skills? Unless I get a role like Katniss where I have to whistle, but like
it might be useful like in music, maybe in some sort of musical context, perhaps.
Yes, maybe I'll write a song with some whistling in it, and then
there we go. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We've had so much fun learning about you, hearing about your time on Ginny and Georgia, and we're really looking forward to all that you have coming ahead, continuing to support you in your project. Hopefully, again, we see you back on screen with Netflix and Ginny and Georgia again soon. But do you have any like last words that you would like to impart to our listeners? Anything that you wanna say?
Yeah, I'm again so grateful for all of the support for the show. For everybody that's making any memes or any jokes or any content from Ginny and Georgia. I love to see it, and yeah, I'm really thankful for all the support on the show.
Yay, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you for having me, both of you.
Girl Stuff.